everybody. We are back again for this time actual finale eve of the Traitors, not like last week's fake finale eve. I have been told
finale.
I have been told it is real finale this coming week and also directly into the reunion. I don't know how that's going to work out, but that's a later problem. Let's just dive on into this Thursday's episode. So, as always, I am Gina Morgino. I am joined by my faithful friends, Kyle Petty and John Dumpy, and we make up Strat Chat. And we are here to talk about this past Thursday's episode of The Traitors. And right off the bat, I will tell you, this episode hurt my feelings. Do either of you have any initial anything?
I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, like, Phaedra's time was up.
Yeah,
it was
unfortunately.
I really like her, but like, she was doing a really terrible for a lawyer, right? Isn't that like her real profession these days?
I think so. Yeah.
Is she a lawyer? I thought she had like 5 jobs because I thought she was like a mortician. Did I make that up?
A mortician, but I think she's also an attorney.
I think she. That I believe you're correct that she is an attorney. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you're just doing a very poor job of defending yourself for someone who makes a living defending others. Like,
no, I actually I completely agree with you, and I actually feel like I was thinking about it like when watching this episode because I rewatched it today, and I was like, I love Phaedra. She's been one of my favorite parts of this whole season. She hasn't really been very good at this game.
No, I also think that maybe she was just like done because like at the round table she made that comment. She's like, I'm exhausted. Like I think she may have also just had enough.
I mean, it's very possible. Like she was not long for this world. I'm honestly a little surprised that she lasted as long as she did, given the game she was playing. But
DM rocks. Phaedra never won a case as a lawyer.
Oh no. Sorry, girl. Sorry, Phaedra.
And I have to agree with DM as well about the fact that Trichelle's dress at the reunion is awful. I mean, it's giving me like every trinket vibes.
I didn't see it. Did they like post a picture? Was it on a Nexon or something that I didn't watch?
I know Johnny Bananas had posted a picture of it. Was like him, her, and Daddy CT that I had retweeted.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing a picture, but I only remember what Bananas looked like.
Yeah, Trishelle looks bad. She looks bad.
Yeah, I haven't seen what she's wearing yet, but I'm always here.
Oh no,
always here for the shredding of Trishelle. So.
Oh yeah.
Well,
this is definitely a shreddy Trishelle house. This is what she's wearing.
Let me full screen you real quick.
You know what? Hold on. You know what? Give me a minute. I'll put it on the drive.
Okay,
and we'll get
great.
it on the actual screen. Yeah.
So
we'll get it going.
All right. So while you're doing that, we left off the previous episode with a cliffhanger, not knowing which way MJ was going to vote. And I'm going to be honest, even at the top of this episode, I still didn't really know what I expected to happen. But when she voted Peter, I was like, that's not what was supposed to happen. Like, I didn't ever expect that she was going to vote Phaedra, but I was devastated that she voted Peter. But I mean, it made sense.
That means you would have preferred Phaedra?
I wouldn't have. That's the thing. I was like very upset about it, but there was no version of this that wouldn't have made me upset.
Right. It had no good end.
Right.
I didn't mind Peter going. He was annoying. Yeah, I thought he was annoying.
He was playing a little too hard, but at least he was trying, which is more than I can say about a lot of people on this season.
I definitely thought that he was like good. He had good reads. I felt like he did a good job finding traitors. I just found the way he went about it to be very annoying.
Yeah, no, he definitely could have pumped the brakes a little bit, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, but I see that I had seen somewhere people posting saying like, oh, like they already gave it away that Phaedra's staying because somebody like was able to find her in the footage for like the next on in like the mission
of
her jumping from one platform to the other. And I saw that picture, and like in this episode, you saw like the exact moment that came from. So I was like, oh, we really should have known all along that Phaedra was
Well,
going to
but,
be
like,
here.
that's what they did a couple of episodes ago, where like we didn't know who they were gonna murder because Bergie had the shield. So are they gonna go with Bergie or are they gonna do something else? We don't know what's gonna happen. And the very first shot in the next on was the round table for the next episode with everybody seated around it. It's like, yeah, if you're trying to build suspense, don't show me the thing you don't want me to know about immediately after in the next on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not good with that. They're not
No.
good with that. Yeah, you want to defend it, but you can't. Like,
It's rough.
mm-mm.
But
It is.
I
It is.
do see. I don't want to have to worry about a segue later. We have to see this picture right now. So
Yeah,
Kyle
let's give it a
is
gander.
so kind as yeah.
Ryan, it's giving Effie trinket.
Yeah, this is weird. I feel like if you just got rid of that, was that silver? Like if it was just the red,
silvery
like it would be
fluff.
Nice. Yeah.
You know what this is giving to me? You know, on the challenge when they did the like anything but clothes party. I feel like she like made this out of just stuff in her apartment.
Yeah, and actually that silvery nonsense looks like tinsel.
Yeah, it's just like something she found somewhere, and she was like, "I can put a belt around that."
Right? She found some thin garland, like put it around. This is like a failed reindeer games.
Yeah, not my favorite. Sorry, girl. Not working.
Liz wanted to give it to Bananas. I don't hate what he's wearing. I don't love it. But like it's nothing to write home about.
Sure, I don't hate it, but it is given a little bit of like Leprechaun vibes.
Leprechaun.
Okay, yeah. It is. It definitely is. Daddy CT is just mouth-watering delicious.
I just love CT so much. I love him. He's just the best.
And I gotta say, like, from my understanding, and maybe this is just like my fault for not going back and watching enough retroactive challenge seasons.
Well, that's definitely a problem.
Okay, I hadn't finished my sentence yet.
Very shreddy for 7:13.
Give me a break. What I was going to say is that the perception in my head that I have of CT from like the challenge episodes that I have seen him in and from like the discourse that I've heard people talk about him, I'm like, oh, he like pulls no punches. He's like, he like I in my head was like, oh, he's like a hard ass. He's a hard competitor. He's like whatever. This episode, I laughed out loud like 15 times. He is a goofy little man. I was like, I did not know you were a silly goose. Why did nobody tell me this side of him?
Because this side of him is a little newer. Like this isn't. I think this is as he's gotten older because he definitely wasn't so silly goosey.
All right, I feel better about that then because I was like, how did I miss that he's just like a silly goofy little man?
Yeah, no, he made a name for himself for like basically just like punching people in the face and being thrown out of the challenge. Right, like that's what he's known for.
CT was,
but now it's like, I think DM's death also kind of like softened him up
definitely. But CT was like that kind of player that back in the day, it was like, all right, he could easily win this thing, but he's also just as likely to go home for fighting somebody. So,
and like that's the version of him that I had in my head. So when I see him like at breakfast doing impressions of John while eulogizing him and like being like, oh, I'm the only man in the house. There's all these women and whoever wins the challenge gonna go on a date with me. Like I was like, he's so silly.
I could not be happier that that's how that turned out too. Like when he made the whole comment, like after the mission, the winner will get to have lunch with me alone if you play your cards right. Like,
I was laughing so hard. Like, okay, well, I love this man. I did not know he was such a silly goose.
We love him. Yeah, he's great.
I did. My other note from breakfast was the divorce between Phaedra and CT is the worst thing that's ever happened to me because mom and dad were fighting this whole episode, and like. This is where I start to have a problem. I mean, not start to have, I've had a problem with it the whole time, but like the way that Phaedra is navigating through this game is like, there was a moment where they're speculating, oh, who do we think is going to be murdered? Who's not coming to breakfast? Who's it going to be? And Phaedra's like, nah, I have no idea. Like, all right, well, who do we think like, the traitors might be? Nah, I have no idea. You're doing the Dan thing. You criticized him for exactly this a couple of weeks ago. You have to say something.
Right.
And like even like
you have to.
It was I think CT in his confessional that was like, she's not giving me anything. And it's like, Phaedra, just say a name. He's not even asking you who you think the traitors are. He's asking you who you think could have been murdered. That's so easy to throw a name out.
Right. And it's like what's even more painful about this for me is that people have been telling her, you gotta say something. You have to say something. And she's just not listening to it, just continuing to say nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
come on, Phaedra. Everyone's telling you what they need from you to stop suspecting
Mhm.
you. And you're not giving them not even an ounce. Like, oh, God.
I feel like you should be able to just latch on to something. It's like, I feel like you don't have to come up with anything new that no one else is saying. Like Sandra's name is out there, so just say, yeah, well,
Just say Sandra.
Yeah,
Even
say
if
like,
Sandra's name wasn't out there right now, at this point in the game, there are 2 episodes left. Everyone has been accused at some point. You could say anything about
Right.
anybody, and it's not something that's new that no one said
Right.
before.
right.
Ugh.
I feel like it's weird, and there was a point where she was talking to Sheree, and Sheree was like begging her, like, "Are you a traitor? You know, tell me if you're a traitor or not. Give me a name. If you, who else could it be?" And Phaedra was like, "Oh well, it could be CT for all we know." Gave no reasoning behind
Yeah.
it. Was not serious at all about it.
Like,
Like just
elaborate. Give
Right.
me concrete something.
Like literally just said CT because he had voted for you the last
Mhm.
time. And not very, very good. But since you brought up Sheree,
Uh-oh.
good God, girl, get a grip.
I know, I
Like,
know.
right? Like I said, she's gonna sit down and have this very serious conversation with Phaedra. Like, listen, woman to woman. Are you a traitor? What the fuck
She's
did
gonna
you
be like,
expect her
you
to
know what?
say?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, yes,
I am actually.
girl, I'm
Thank
so
you so much
sorry,
for giving me the
Mike.
opportunity to tell
I'm
you.
so sorry. And it's like, right. It's like that was never going. That was never going to be it. Like, oh gosh, it's like, come on, Sheree. Do you know what you signed up for? This is not season 1.
Right. 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 And like the way Sheree seemed to be questioning, like, has Phaedra been lying to me for years after this? Like, what? Like the
If
look.
I find out that Phaedra is a traitor, I'm gonna be sick.
It's like, yeah, she's been lying to you for years based on this game you've been playing for 2 weeks where she had to lie to
Right,
you.
like it was so funny to me because it was like
Oh.
it took Sheree so long to be like flipped on the idea that maybe Phaedra could be lying to her and maybe she is a traitor. And now she's like, because of this one game thing, she's like questioning their entire 30-year relationship.
She's never told me the truth a day in her life.
Like it's so funny when you think about it. But
It is. It's absolutely ridiculous.
the one thing that I'll say for Sheree, this episode, man, she looked beautiful. She looks fantastic.
yeah.
This whole episode. I mean, she always looks great, but I thought this episode in particular, man, Sheree. Woo. Woo.
There were a couple of views that they gave us of her ass. They were standing outside chatting. I was like, "Who is that?" I was like, "Sheree again?
Yeah.
Sheree. You told me
She's
Sheree."
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay, girl.
I saw those
All
shots. I saw
We
those
see
shots
you,
you're
yo.
talking about. Yeah.
Boop, boop.
Yeah, Sheree's a hottie. A hottie. I don't have anything else after that.
Okay.
Hottie McToddy.
A hottie with a body.
Sure.
Oh, well, I'm thinking like a hot toddy. You know.
Well, Kat, you had mentioned Sandra earlier just as like a person to be suspicious of. Sandra gave me one of my favorite things about this episode where at first it was just Sandra and MJ walking into breakfast, just the 2 of them, and they sit down. And then someone knocks at the door and she goes, "That's a man's knock. That sounds like CT's knock."
Mhm.
And CT walks in and she was like, "Oh, I got it." And now the entirety of breakfast, the game was who's knocking. Where every single
Right.
time that somebody knocked on the door, she was like, "That's a woman's knock." Oh, that was John's knock. That was yeah, no, for sure, 100%. Oh yeah, that's this person's knock.
Yeah, she was correct more than she wasn't.
Like, Sandra, what is this special skill you've decided you have of like, I know exactly who's coming in based on their knock? Like every single time someone knocked on the door, I was like, Sandra, what are you talking about?
So good.
Oh my god, it was so stupid.
Sandra, I think, was amazing this whole episode.
It was a really good one for her.
Like, not to just jump around,
No.
but like when she was sitting to eat, it was with who was she eating with? It was like Trishelle and there was somebody else there.
Yeah, I know the scene you're talking about. I'm blanking on who that
And she had a
third
mouthful
person
of food. She goes,
is.
"I'm gonna go see if they let me go talk. I'm gonna go. Everybody talking like so much." And it's like, can you just finish chewing on?
She had so many
couldn't
good
wait to get
moments.
outside. She couldn't wait to get outside. Full plate of food. Left that to go get cold because she had to go see if she can get into this conversation. Like Sandra is just
I love it.
a trick.
No, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yes,
It was a good episode for her.
Yeah.
She's great. Yeah. Oh,
Unfortunately, at the end of breakfast, though, we got exactly the result that we didn't want, which means that the most fun person in the house is gone, and Trishelle is still here. It's like, why would you do that to us, the viewers?
yeah.
How am I
it
supposed to
would've
watch a
been-
round table that John's not at? Like,
It would have been really nice if Trishelle had gone.
I was really hoping for it.
Yeah. But I miss, yeah. As soon as he was gone, I definitely like missed John immediately. And
Mhm.
when he was murdered, the first thing that I did, I literally paused the episode, went to YouTube, and watched the video of him just going, "Oh no," over and over again. So yeah, I was very sad. But man, I mean, at this point, Phaedra had like no good options. I feel like she was already at this point like basically banished.
Yeah.
I don't know who she possibly could have murdered. If besides John and Trishelle, like I don't know.
I don't think it mattered one way or the other,
Yeah.
because this was one of those banishments where if Peter was a faithful, it was going to be her. If he was a traitor, she might have had some
Sure.
fortune here. Like, had he accepted that recruitment a few weeks ago,
Yeah, it would have given her a little credibility.
yes, yeah. But this was one of those that, like, hey, we got to test to see, we got to see one or the other, and MJ went that way, and once that didn't shake out, I don't think there's any coming back from that.
Mhm.
I mean, if we want to be honest too, like this really, Phaedra was basically doomed. I mean, sure she could have done some things differently to change the trajectory of the game, but I felt like Dan really sparked all of this when he was getting banished. So he threw Phaedra under the bus, and then people were suspicious of Parvati, and then Parvati threw Phaedra under the bus. That was something that came up multiple times.
Yeah,
That
you can't come back from that.
Yeah, like two traitors were banished, and they both threw you under the bus. What reason would they have to throw specifically you under the bus? Unless
Right.
you were, and like this really, I think, started weeks ago, which kind of sucks because like Phaedra hung around for a while after Dan left, but like it really felt like her game was so damaged there, like beyond repair, that like it would have taken a miracle for her to turn it around, I think.
And I had seen too, I haven't read the whole thing, but I saw like excerpts from, I don't know if it was a Mike Bloom interview. Somebody interviewed Phaedra after this episode had aired. And there is like, there's a point of contention where she is like, no, Dan ruined my game.
Yeah. And I'm wondering what the reunion's going to be like, because I saw an article, I didn't read it, but the headline was about Phaedra and being like, the reunion will show the first time that Dan and Phaedra reunite after their, separation or whatever. So I'm like curious, like I wonder if she lays into him for like ruining her game.
She must.
So I just hope we see something like that. That's all. I would love to see Dan getting ripped apart by Phaedra.
I mean, he was at that point, he was actually playing a game. Like, that is just like what the game is. Like, I think that I was overly critical or super critical. I mean, maybe not overly, but I was critical of Dan's game all along. But like him making that move, I don't know, kind of made some sense.
The only problem with Dan
yeah,
making that move was that he waited too long to do it,
Yes, it didn't actually serve him in that moment. And if you're going to wait that long to make a move like that, I think he would have had a little bit more success. Oh.
What?
Sorry, I just got an alert that just like closed my window. Sorry, I thought I was gone. If you had at that point, because he was so late in making that that argument, I think that if he would have gone with Parvati, he might have seen some more personal success. But
yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it could have gone differently if he had called out Parvati instead of Phaedra. I felt like it was so at that point nobody was looking at Phaedra, and I feel like people were just automatically suspicious of Parvati. And it's like if you wanted to go down that route, probably still should have done it sooner, but I think you might have had more success going after Parvati. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. But I mean that is the game. So
I also
Phaedra
think
can be
like
mad, but
I also just think that Dan would we hashed this all out earlier, but like I think that Dan would have had more success had his seasons of Big Brother and Dan's funeral not been such an iconic reality TV moment. Like by that point, everyone already knows your MO. So you can't just like make the same pitch in the same way and expect that people aren't gonna,
Right.
But I am very excited to see the two of them reunite and what that looks like.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be very exciting.
What is next? What is next? Oh, the mission. I would have been terrible at this mission. I would have ate shit trying to run across these platforms.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
I'd enjoy this one. I would like this
Some
one.
of them were really far apart.
I got little legs. I
like,
can't jump
really
that far.
Of course, it again didn't surprise me at all that the best performers in this were the challenge people.
Oh,
Like-
CT was like, they built this for me.
Yeah. All the water challenges that they have to do and everything, like it's so funny. Like that first one very first mission that they had, the 2 stars in the mission were CT and Bananas, and they're like the only reason that they even got that money. And then here again, they wouldn't have gotten any money.
Literally $0.
Literally $0 if CT and Trishelle didn't keep going back and forth. And like because literally nobody made it over. The only other person was MJ, and it was with seconds left to get that shield.
Yeah.
So they literally would not have gotten a single dollar.
I will say too, the only other person that had more fun watching this challenge than me was Alan Cumming. Like, he just kept giggling like, these people suck at these games, man. I was like, oh.
The thing is, though, like I think that a lot more people could have done better if they just would have just kept running.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like getting right to the end and then just trying to like hop. And it's like, well, what did you expect to happen there? Like you need to,
you know what this reminded me of?
Running start. You even do this in video games.
Honestly, this reminded me of Corey with the balance beam. It was the same thing. He spent so much time trying to balance that it kept like shaking, where if he had just run across it, he would have been fine.
Just go.
Yeah. I think he was thinking that like he'd have to get on that beam and like take a bunch of steps. It's not that long. You just gotta keep your momentum moving forward. And the same thing with this mission.
Trishelle was like, I just have to keep going, and then there's no time for it to get rickety under me because I'm just going across it.
Yeah.
But you also just need a running start. Like, how many ditches have we hopped over playing Super Mario? Like, you don't just go to the edge and then just go for it. Like, it's not going to work. Like, you have to, like, run and then hop.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. Like, no one was thinking through this one. And I think the fear was kind of getting, like, the best of them.
Sure.
But, yeah.
I did laugh, too, when Kate tried to do it and she fell off and she's swimming back and she's like, I am below deck right now.
She's good for a lot of like one-liners there. Do you think the edges of these platforms were like padded or something?
I hope so.
Because a lot of them took like platforms right to the chest.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like, you know, this looked really like these are celebrities. You can't be bruising them up like that.
I didn't see any padding, but I don't know. Oh, this is a question for Kyle, I think.
A question for Kyle.
Yes, hi. Where are we watching CBB UK? I am using a VPN and watching on ITV's website itself. If you watch live, you can watch right on your computer or you can watch after the fact. But the ITV site is super annoying. I have to constantly reload. Honestly, you have a better shot trying to watch it live. So stop work early and get on board. Like I did today.
Stop work early. You heard it here first.
Stop work early. You heard it here first. Sorry to that bank. There's a call I was supposed to be on at 4:30. Skip it. Sorry. People are moving in. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god.
People are moving in.
Sorry.
I love it.
That's great. That's awesome.
While we're on, what's happening?
No need to be sorry.
Please.
Don't be sorry. We love it.
Look, if there's one thing we love to do, it is talk about anything other than the show we're covering.
That is what we do. We love distractions. And we love Big Brother, so we're here for it.
But since we were talking about Kate, what do you think about her pitch to try to cast suspicion off of Phaedra and onto Sandra at this point?
I thought she was really effective.
Yeah.
And had Phaedra followed up. I was trying to do too many words at once. Had she followed up and kind of like continued on that, there might have actually, you could have maybe gained some traction there. I think Phaedra not like, I think her, either she wasn't aware of it or just didn't
Right.
or she was exhausted, like we
Mhm.
said before. She just had enough. She was just kind of giving up at this point. It's just so silly to give up so soon, or
Right.
so late,
Yeah.
rather. Like,
It's so interesting too, this like with Kate, because you could tell she was trying, and then we got that roundtable comment of the selfish rather than skillful in regard to
Yes.
Phaedra, because of Kate feeling like she was fighting for Phaedra and Phaedra was just not.
Because it's true. Like that, that was her opportunity to say anything she needed to say, and she was just like, I'm tired.
I'm exhausted.
It's like,
Yeah,
what do you you have to say something.
right. Come
Because I would
Are
have
they?
been over it too. I would have been
Yeah.
like, well, shit, if you're not gonna fight for yourself, why am I putting myself
Right.
Why
on
am
the
I fighting
line?
for you?
Is
Right.
that uh, could you point to other parts of her game as an example of that? I know we talked about earlier in the season, let's say, for example, Phaedra didn't really want
Mhm.
to participate in having the poison chalice given to someone. Like, is that a selfish thing, or is that smart on her part? Was that, at the time, like, I don't think we really looked at it as a selfish thing, or maybe we did a little bit.
We
But
didn't
like,
look at it as selfish. We just looked at it as like stupid. We were
leaving
like, you have
yourself
to like
out of
be a
something?
part
Yeah.
of these conversations so you know what to navigate around. Like she kind of like that specifically, not the chalice situation. It was the conversation between Parvati and Peter. That
Mhm.
kind of
In the
like
armory.
that
She, yeah.
retroactively fell into her lap in the moment of like, oh, this happened and I can use this. But that wasn't like a thing that she planned out to use. It just like happened to come up and she was like, perfect. I can use this to cast suspicion away from myself. But other than that, it was just like her not really having, in my opinion, a game mind. So she didn't want to like put herself in a position where she could incriminate herself or say something wrong or mess anything up. So she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna be like not be a part of this anymore. But I don't think that it was a selfish thing of like to protect myself, I'm not gonna do this. I think it was just she didn't realize how valuable being in those conversations was going to be to know
Yeah.
how to navigate stuff later, you know?
Right. Yeah, because you do have to kind of have the wherewithal going into some of these situations to know how you can repurpose that later.
Mhm.
And I think that is where her only experience really just being a housewife maybe would have hurt her, because Parvati never would have left a conversation like that. Sandra would not have left conversations like that. Like, people know kind of like to plan ahead.
Specifically, the Parvati and Peter conversation. I know we talked about this when it
Right.
happened, but it's like if you leave that room, you no longer know what they're talking about. They could now be plotting against you. You don't
You.
know what
Mhm.
you're walking away from. You have to have all the
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
There's literally nothing to add there. Because I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
I was so disappointed in her this episode. Like I really just wanted her even like one final Hail Mary. I know it wasn't going to work, but just like try, you know.
Something. I want to see some effort. Right. Damn.
But no, a unanimous vote. And then, CT votes for Phaedra. Phaedra votes for CT. I said, this is feeling like Romeo and Juliet. You can't do this to me. Mom and dad are fighting. I'm not having a good time. You're
Right.
supposed to fall in love. Why is this happening to me?
Yeah. And everyone also knew that, like, she only put his name down because he put hers. Like, that was not a situation that I actually feel like brought any actual heat to him.
Right.
Like, I don't think anyone was looking at him like, she said
Yeah.
CT. Like, I don't think that was anything. No one counted that as something real.
Mhm. And even just like she was like, girl power. By CT. And it's like,
Yeah.
even like in your last moment, you couldn't even like try to screw somebody. Like just like
Nothing. Literally nothing. Just
but
I will
Yeah.
say for Phaedra, I will also say, because we saw multiple traitors throw her under the bus between Dan and Parvati, and then Kate eventually voted for her, but I don't fault Kate for that. The writing was clearly on the wall.
right.
But I was gonna say that, like, I'm glad that Phaedra didn't just randomly write Kate's name down. Like,
Yeah.
the way that she did vote, she was like, she voted CT and like didn't even try to make that a suspicious thing. Was just like, I'm all about girl power, so I'm writing CT's name because he's the only guy here. But I feel like she could have very easily been like, well, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm gonna fuck you over, Kate. Instead she just left, where other traitors, especially with the fact that people like Dan and Parvati threw under the bus, you might have thought that she would feel like, you know what? All these traitors screwed each other over. I'm gonna screw someone over too. But she didn't, and I
It
really
really did feel
appreciated
like
that.
she just wanted to be out. Like,
Yeah.
in that moment,
Yeah.
she was like, you know what? Writing's on the wall. I just want to go home.
I've had enough.
And
I'm gonna go see my man's.
I've said it like, no, her man's is at the table. I'm telling you, when she was walking into the circle of truth, the way he was looking at her, I was like, you expect me to watch this and believe this is not a love story? They're getting married. You can't tell me otherwise. Sorry. She did make me laugh though when she, like, in the circle of truth, she was like, I am the most faithful traitor. And everybody was looking at her like, did she say faithful? What do you mean?
The faces that was good too. The faces around the
Yeah.
table. She was like, I'm a fabulous, faithful traitor.
Traitor.
It was great delivery.
I also love that when all is said and done, we are now left with Kate as the only traitor left in the game. I love that so much.
Kate could win this.
She could, but I also worry about Kate a little bit too, because like me and James were talking about this earlier, specifically in the conversation where she was trying to cast some suspicion onto Sandra, where he was like, all it takes, he's like, she's very lucky that the people who are left in this house don't have the wherewithal to like remember bits and pieces of what's been happening around them. Cause like all you have to do is remember that is exactly what Kate was shitting on Trishelle for trying to do with the Parvati thing of being like, let's get Parvati now and we'll keep Phaedra for later. And Kate was the first one being like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? And James was like, I feel like Kate has the same problem that I would have in Big Brother, where it's like, I just need a notebook of everything I've ever said so I can remember the things that I'm lying about, because otherwise, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I do think that there is like maybe because Kate's whole MO is just being a bitch, which we love. We love that about her. But like, she just says things. Like, I feel like if she's not careful, she might get herself into a little bit of trouble in the end game here if she's not really like taking a second to be like, okay, in terms of gaming, how do I navigate the end of this?
I hear that, but Sandra's name has been floating around for some time, and then she was doing a lot to really put the focus on Sandra. And she could make the argument that, like, you know what, I couldn't get you guys off Phaedra the last time, but now I'm right back to Sandra, like I was saying yesterday. Because you also have to remember that it hasn't been that much time that's passed since those conversations happened. So to say, like, all right, I voted with you guys this time, now vote with me this time. She might get away with that because Sandra was not her. That wasn't her grand idea. That was the name that was floating anyway. She was just pushing it. So she could still hide under the guise of, oh, oops, I made the same mistake that you guys did. I guess I was just a little too high on it.
I am interested to see.
I do think there's a path for her.
I'm interested to see too what this finale is going to look like, because the last thing that we saw on this episode was Sandra pulling her aside and being like, what did you mean with the selfish thing? He's like I don't know if she's like, because it didn't seem like that conversation was going to continue to really go anywhere after Kate said what she said, but it also could have just been like, that's the way it's edited, and then we get a confessional at the top of the next episode of Sandra being like, bullshit. So I don't really know what that's going to look like. I'm like nervous for her.
Yeah, I was nervous about that as well. Well,
I'm nervous too, but if she does this right, I still think she has the advantage here, because again, no one's been saying Kate, at least not that we've seen, and people have been saying Sandra. So I think people, like, you have to remember who's left that's voting. Sheree, MJ, these are very gullible and, as Gina would say, malleable people. So like I feel like it is. It's a great word, because I feel like you can push them towards that because they were already thinking it anyway. You're not forcing a new thing on them. And CT, I don't think he's as malleable as the rest of them, but that's only one vote, and who cares? Is there anybody else left? I think that's it. Right?
Trishelle.
Oh, Trishelle, which also may not matter as much. Have we ever had a situation where there's a tie in the votes? Because there's 6 left, right? That means you can get a 3-3.
I don't think we've seen a tie. I don't think we have.
I wonder what happens if you get that in the banishment.
Right. Maybe it's like Among Us and no one gets voted out.
No, I mean, it's the finale, so someone's got to go.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Well, are we going to have one more banishment though? Like, I
don't remember what the end game looks like, because I feel like
that's what I feel like he said. There's going to be one more banishment, but no more murder, and then you start to get into that do we end here or banish again?
Because the end game was 4 people when we got to that point, right?
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember the exact number.
I think it was.
Once we went outside, it was.
Yeah, so I don't remember. Like, and you guys would know better than me because you've watched like international ones. Do we always end with the same amount of people at the end, or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not always.
I'm thinking we like have to end at 4, and I'm like, how is this?
No, I feel like it's varied.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've watched so many of them now. It's like hard. It's like
I know. Yeah, I'm not sure. But so are we done? We're already done with murders? Is that what you said?
That's what it sounded like from what Alan said.
Well, I don't know
Get to
though.
murder tonight.
I don't know though because MJ got a shield.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, right. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm thinking at the end of this. Right. That would bring us.
So there's
to
one more.
Because Kate is going to murder. Because that's the whole reason why it was worth it to get the shield. And you've got one more banishment. That is what brings you to your 4.
Okay. Oh man, I wonder who Kate's gonna murder. I'm nervous that she's gonna murder CT.
I feel like it should be Trishelle because
Trishelle.
No disrespect to anybody else in the house, but Trishelle's the only one that really seems to be savvy enough to like be picking up on anything,
Right, and not only is she savvy enough to be picking, as much as I hate her, she has been playing the game well. She's not just savvy, but she doesn't shut the hell up.
Right.
So like, just get out of here. Just enough now. All right.
Even like, I'm honestly like, again, I was disappointed to lose John instead of Trishelle, but even at the beginning of this episode, when they were in the turret, and Kate was like, I think the person that you need to get rid of that's the worst for your game is John. And I was like, I don't know why you think that when Trishelle has been the loudest one against you. And Trishelle is the one that's putting all the pieces together. Trishelle at one point was the only person seeing that it was Phaedra. So I don't know why you think her less of a threat.
Right. I the only thing that I would say that I think the reasoning behind it was that it seems like they were more worried about the way that John was able to communicate at a round table. So it was like, okay, Trishelle is the one observing these things, trying to get people on board, but John is the salesman. Like Trishelle's not good at selling the idea. So
Sure.
I wonder if that's what the thinking was. It was like, all right, we know Trishelle's a problem. We have to get rid of her, but get rid of John first because you won't survive another round table with him. And then once he's gone, Trishelle's down a number. You can take her out after that. That's what I'm wondering.
I know. I do definitely see that. I just also... I feel like I have to revisit some of these past roundtables to see if I actually believe what I'm about to say. But I also feel like John is the kind of person that, like, whoever is becoming the person that everyone's suspicious of, that's the person that he's going to sell them out. Like, I feel like every roundtable, he's like, everyone said this person. I know for a fact you're a traitor, and here's my dramatic explanation as to why. It's not usually his idea of, like, this is what I think and what I've been putting together. It's what anyone in his ear has been saying.
Right.
Unless I'm wrong.
No, I think that's fair. And Liz also makes a comment here that, like, Kate and Phaedra aren't seeing these conversations that Trishelle is having to rally people against like a Phaedra. So like while
Kate, I feel like at least a little bit would have been, maybe not to
well,
the extent.
yeah, maybe a little bit, but I feel like especially we're talking about a group too, like Trishelle's group with John and Peter that would go into rooms and close doors and like purposely exclude people. So I feel like they were very careful about who they shared information with, and like Kate definitely wasn't one of those people. So like we're seeing a lot of Trishelle, rally people to go against Phaedra, but that doesn't mean that Phaedra realizes how much of a threat Trishelle actually is. Because John is the one that's more vocal. So naturally, it just makes sense that we got to get John out of here. He's always the one making the big statements at the round table. We got to get him out. Meanwhile, Trishelle's the one that's working hardest against you, like. So, yeah.
Kyle, I can't decide if you look like you're trying to say something or not.
Oh, no. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was everything I kind of had for this episode. Is there anything else before we head into finale night of what we're expecting, what we're thinking, what we're...
Oh, man. I'm very interested to see Kate pull off a murder on her own, and like what thinking, reasoning she'll have. I just pray to God it's not CT. Right now, there's 6 people left. There are three people that I'd be most happy seeing win the game. CT is number 1, then Kate, and then if not either of them, I would love to see Sandra win it. Those are my only other thoughts that I have.
I just want the faithfuls to win. That satisfies the majority of that.
Yeah. I would,
Yeah.
if we got to the end and we had like a CT Sandra joint win, I'd be thrilled with that.
Especially if you and that's certainly possible. Just get rid of Kate. I'm sorry, but sorry, but I would like to see the faithful win this time.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And I said we shall see.
We shall. Are we planning on covering the reunion as well, or?
Well, I mean, if we're not live until Monday, because I feel like we can't be unless we reshuffle the entire schedule.
Right.
We already have a lot of changes this week.
This week is going to be a bonkers week for us.
Yeah.
This week, my head is already spinning.
Honestly, this was the perfect time for me to have like a week in between jobs,
right?
Because I don't have to go anywhere this week. So in the craziest week we've had in months, I actually have all the time in the world.
What a treat!
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't cover it, especially if we're doing Traitors at 7. We don't have Survivor until 9. Why not do the finale and the reunion? We're gonna watch both.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I feel.
I'm down.
So, yes, we will be back. Same time, same place on Monday. But before that, we are also going to be live at 9 tonight to talk about the premiere of Survivor.
Yes.
Survivor 46.
What a premiere it was. And then now I saw the graphic. I don't fully remember what it said, so remind me what our Thursday looks like. I know things are getting
Thursday.
All over the place.
We moved BB Can 12 to the slot for 7:30 p.m. on Thursday.
Right.
We've been doing 8 p.m.
Yeah, we chose 7:30 because we wanted to make sure we got to watch the Traitors.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be spoiled from the social medias, and we want to give ourselves enough time to watch, to discuss rather the BB Can.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have Australian Survivor scheduled for 10:15 p.m. that night. But I am wondering, do you think that could be an issue if this is the Traitors finale? Will the episode, do you think, be longer? Will we need more time to watch that? Should we move Australian Survivor to 10:30? I don't know.
I'm okay with not watching the reunion.
Yeah, I feel like it would just cut into the reunion stuff, not the
okay.
Full
all right.
finale. Yeah.
Cool.
I just don't want to be the reunion stuff is fine. I don't want to get spoiled on the winners. How the game ends. Yeah. Casually scrolling and get all messed up.
Right.
And then we haven't reached a conclusion on the challenge reunion part 2, right?
I guess John's right. I guess we should discuss it.
I mean, we don't have to, but
I'm just so sick of this season. I'm so ready to move on, but it does make some sense. I mean, we can certainly find some time over the weekend. I can make myself available. I just know that Friday won't work. But
okay, let me just throw this out there. Maybe you guys will hate this and won't want to do this, but if we're already talking about one reunion on Monday, would it make sense to just do a joint, a big reunion stream? We'll talk about the Traitors reunion. We'll talk about the challenge reunion. 15 minutes.
Well, we can do what we used to do, old school. All right, we're leaving this stream. We're going right into the other one. That way, it separates it properly.
Oh, sure.
I could be down for that. 3 on Monday. I just 3 is just so busted. But okay, all right.
Well,
at least I leave Saturday free.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Where can they get the answers from?
I'm so glad you asked, Kyle. You can find all of the information on what we will be talking about on our socials at Strat Chat Pod. We are on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Blue Sky.
Yes, we're bringing Blue Sky back for Big Brother Canada. All right, so keep your skies blue and blue.
And also, if you hate yourself and you don't watch the video pod and miss half of what we're doing when we're being silly, which I don't know why you would do that, but if you chose to only listen to the audio, you can do that too. Anywhere that you consume your podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, all those fun things. Leave us a nice review if you feel so inclined. Yeah, am I leaving anything out? I know I forgot things last week, and I'm
No.
stressed out that I'm leaving out all of our important information, but I think
No, I think we got it done.
we
I think
hit
we
it
got it
all.
done.
So yeah, we will.
Good job.
Manwan Monday.
No, he didn't cut you off.
Cut me off on my night.
Oh, how I love it.
Okay, well, we will be seeing you in an hour to talk about Survivor if I don't kill John first. Bye. Have a good night.
Ooh, wow.